Well, welcome everyone to another episode of Conscious Gatherers. I'm joined as always with Bev Royce, and I'm Terry. And this is our 55th session that we've been with you all. Ladies, are you with me?
We're here.
Yep. Welcome everybody. Great. And 55 episodes. 55. That's a magic number.
That's a while back, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. We've had some pretty amazing episodes. So all of you listening, I do advise you to go back and listen to many of these, and they're not long, but there's just a lot of things that we shared over the time. So, and we're continuing on. So, are you guys ready to get going?
Absolutely.
Sure.
All right. Good.
Let's get this party started.
Let's get this party started. Let's get this thing rolling. All right. Recently, I did get some information, and so I'm going to share some of that with you. And then Royce's part of this rolls right into what Royce wants to talk about. And Terry, again, you can jump in anytime because you always have wonderful things to say, and so we so appreciate it. So there. All right. Here's some of the information I received, and some of it's not real surprising, but it's always nice to hear. It said, your Earth is transcending into what has been called the Null Zone. That's N-U-L-L. In the Null Zone, years ago we used to talk about the photon belt. So we're like in that photon belt energy center, if I recall that. But I did ask him again, actually a few minutes ago, let's clarify what the null zone is. And here's what I was told. Said that part of the photon belt that is stationary yet carries a strong force. It is likened to a spark plug. The spark within the plug, an area, a space with a charge, and the energy is increasing on this Earth plane. And we know that's going on. And I remember getting the words high octane energy. And it's interesting because I heard a lot of other people use the exact same words. So, you know how that works. We do get a lot of the same information, same information, or in similar words. So it's fun to hear that. All right, let me go on. Regarding the null zone, what this energy sets up is a whole new reality for the human and other beings to exist within. It not only affects the Earth, its effects reach far and wide as you would envision the cosmos. The reality you call the cosmos is just a construct within physicality, an extremely important one. Reality, we talked about truth. And that's where, Royce, you can come in just a moment, and I'll finish this, and you can talk about that. Because the night before I received this information, we discussed what is truth. So we'll get into that in a moment. So it is talking about truth. It is reality, because a capital R, in the spectrum of physicality. Yet it also is more. That's why, Royce, you said it was love. And then they concurred and said, what else is there? You may experience hardship, what you call evil, and other constructs you as community, and other constructs you as humanity, along with other beings, have devised. Are they real? In a way, yes. Are they real with a capital R? No. Think about that one. So the barriers of our own deceit are coming down to expose our old belief patterns. And that's why some people are feeling lost, dizzy, out of control, and other emotional factors coming into their view. It is the release of all deceit on your earth plane. It is an adjustment for the people and the land. Observe the populace. Is it not beautiful? there are amazing days to come. Be vigilant. So there you go. So all the deceit is being released, or we can start seeing it for those that want to see it. And there's a lot of deceit within ourselves that we have not seen, and it'll come back to us until we look at it, observe it, know it for what it did, what it is, and then we can transmute it. So anyway, go ahead, Royce and Terry. I'm talking about
Okay,
truth.
Well, you were talking about the difference between real with a lowercase r and real with an uppercase r,
Yes.
being two different things. And then you look at that as two different versions of something, when in reality there is but one thing. It's like that dot that is the expression of all there is. It's one thing. And there's different perceptions of that, but does that make it something else? No, it's one thing. There's no versions of the truth. It's one truth, which is synonymous with one love, one light, one life. Those are all synonymous expressions, because that dot that is all there is so full that it's hard to contain it with a word. It's hard to put any kind of parameters around it. It's too much to be expressed with a word. Although it's a singularity, it has no equal opposite. So there's no versions of it. It's one thing. It's like looking at the difference between the word peace and shalom. We look at that word peace, and it gives us a warm and fuzzy feeling. But the word shalom, it defies all understanding. It is so full, so deep, so much. And that leads me to something that I wanted to say. We were talking about the different things that we have to offer to people, whether it be healing modalities or anything like that. And I mentioned a few things that I like to do, but really the thing that I want to offer is to be a facilitator of something called peace blessing. And it's peace as in the sense of the word shalom. I can't even tell you exactly what it means, because it is what it is. It does what it does. It is, to me, a palpable energy. It's immense. The first time it flowed through me, I was inside of the King's Chamber of the Great Pyramid. And so I wanted to offer that to people. If you access the telephone number that we have listed at our site, you can just give me a first name and your location, and I would be glad to send peace blessing if you are willing to accept it as it is, to let it do whatever it can do for you. So that's that.
Well, thank you, Royce. I appreciate you bringing that up, because I've had that. I've had a few peace blessings from Royce, and some people have had it. Shoot. Well, you can explain that, Royce, better than I can. This is you.
Well, it's just
Go ahead.
Most people feel it pretty intensely. I had one lady. She had an awful lot going on in her life, and I shared it with her face to face by putting hands on her and letting it flow through that way. And she had had a lot of chatter. She just couldn't quiet the chatter. And she said all of a sudden everything got quiet. That she was able to actually start from point zero and and work things out, rather than being just so overwhelmed with everything. So, but it is different for everyone. I can't tell you how you'll perceive it, or if you will even perceive it at all. It may just move the energy around you and you won't really be aware of what it's doing. So, it is what it is. It's called peace blessing, and it defies all explanation. So.
And for our listeners, that number, if you want to call in and leave the message that you want to receive that, that's 864-999-3008. And that's an automated thing. You'll just simply leave your name, phone number, and which person you'd like to call back. And that person will call you back and set something up. So great. Thank you very much, Royce.
Sure.
Yep. Bev, you got anything else now? I know you have lots of stuff tonight.
Oh, that happens. Well, one word that came to me, this was on 11/11, and it was the word obedience. And I'm thinking, okay. And the word wouldn't go away. I could just see the word right in front of me. And, big word, obedience. I think there's a movie on that too, by the way, about obedience and about seeing, with glasses on, you could see other things going on, and when people were not real. I forget the name of the movie, but it's a pretty profound movie, and it's old and it's a little bit hokey, but there's a lot of good stuff in it. And if either of you remember what the name of that movie is, you can speak up. But the word obedience is in front of me, and I went, whoa, they're talking to me. And so I said a few choice words, basically, heck no. And I remember stepping out of a cracked place. It was interesting. It was like, like a cracked egg. I stepped out, jumped out in my vision. And then I was given the symbol of a hard-boiled egg. And they called it if I can read my writing, because I write fast, like a hard mass. So it's hard to move. And so people that are obedient, they're hard to move. And that's, it's being tried on this earth right now, and has been. But it just seems like it's being stepped up, and other people are saying, heck no, I'm moving out of this. So you can see what's going on with, the drug industry, the health industry, especially the mandates, all of that, which we've talked about on this podcast. And some people are very obedient to what they're told, because they feel it's for the highest good. And I thought, you might want to look at that a little bit closer. Is that for your highest good? Or are you being obedient to those that want to control you? So anyway, the analogy of the hard-boiled egg, it was like it's hard to move. And so, cracking it open and jumping out of that crack is what I was seeing myself. Now, I eat a lot of hard-boiled eggs just for the protein, and because I'm basic vegetarian, but not totally. And I like to use hot sauce on there. And so they said, well, the hot sauce, that adds pain and less movement because it's hot, However, I was told that it's soon to be wiped out, but not yet, at least totally. And that we're entering a new movie set at the whole earth. And I thought, well, that's interesting, a new movie set. And they said, well, the show has begun. And I could see more masters stepping into bodies, and many are coming forward. So, many of you listening, you're all masters, and I call ourselves masters. And that's not a ego thing whatsoever. It's to recognize the power that we already are, and coming into that understanding. Um, I had asked a little bit more information, and I was told be calm, be gentle, as all rolls into place. Hold fast, the trains are coming, and soon. And that's that. So I thought it was interesting as they said, be calm, be gentle, as all rolls into place. Hold fast, the trains are coming, so and soon. So that's it. And if you have either Terry or Royce, if you have more insight on that, please do speak up.
Well,
when not really. Royce, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say that when a lot of us have lived our lives in such a way that we kind of quit taking responsibility for ourselves and just kind of handed over the reins of our lives to whomever and whatever. And so when you live your life that way, you kind of get used to it. It's comfortable. You don't have to worry about anything. Somebody else is calling the shots. So you're not even using your brain. So it's an interesting dance to do, learning how to put on your own shoes and live your own life and call your own shots. And I think that being gentle part, is being gentle to yourself too, because we're all learning constantly, and there's a lot of different ways to get from point A to point B. So just be gentle with yourself as you go through this learning process and stepping into that beautiful, wonderful, vast, immense being that you are.
Thank you. Okay, Terry?
I don't know what's tonight. I'm just more in a zone, and I don't know what kind of zone. Nothing's coming to me tonight. It's just, one of those nights. I'm listening, and I'm trying to listen to my inner self, and it's just, so it's your guys' show tonight. I'm sorry.
That's nothing to be sorry about. You're absorbing, so that's great.
Be gentle.
Yeah.
I mean, that's. I know my physical body needs some adjusting, and that might be, contributing to the lack of energy flowing through me at this moment. But it comes to us all that way anyway. So, it's fine. I recognize it. It's no big deal. I wish I could contribute more, but that's where it is at this point in time. So, I did, like I think I mentioned last time or a couple of times ago about the great prayer, the Lord's Prayer, and we talk about that. There's a great book by Irvin Steele. Seal, I'm sorry, not Steele, but Seal, Seale. And he goes over the Lord's Prayer, and basically the Lord's Prayer wasn't a prayer. It's not something that you would repeat and use. It's a manual. It's a directive on how to pray. And so everybody has taken it as that this is the prayer that Jesus gave to us. And it's not the prayer he gave to us. It's the words on how to pray and have it being meaningful. And so that I found very interesting in his book. And I would highly recommend, it's just called The Great Prayer, and it's an interpretation of the Lord's Prayer by Irvin Steele, Seale. He's got some other books that I've got and I'm reading. All of them are fascinating. And he's got one on the 10 words that will change your life. That's the title of the book. Well, the 10 words he's referring to in that is the 10 Commandments. And it's interesting how he's interpreting that and what it is. And so I'll have more of those two things. I'm delving deeply into the Lord's Prayer and the 10 Commandments as interpreted by Irvin Steele of what he felt that Jesus' true message of those two epic things in our Bible are.
Interesting. A directive.
Yeah, very, very interesting. Very. It was the preamble before Jesus gave the prayer in Matthew 6:9 through 14. He said this, and I'll read this, and then the prayer, the Our Father which art in heaven came. But the Our Father art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. This whole thing is the manual on how to pray. And in this book he actually goes through each line of that and explains the meaning. But the preamble to that in Matthew says, but thou, when thou prayest, enter into thy closet, and when thou hast shut thy door, pray to thy Father, which is in secret. And thy Father, which seeth in secret, shall reward thee openly. Use not vain repetition as the heathens do, for they think that they shall be heard for their much speaking. After this manner, therefore, pray ye, and then he goes into Our Father which art in heaven. And basically, go into the closet is into your own consciousness, your own mind, where you'll find your Father there, and that you conjure in your imagination, you put feeling into it, and you see it as it is now, even though it might be in your consciousness. That's what's in secret, and that we know not why or how, but the Father, your imagination, your consciousness, will manifest it openly. And that's what that line's saying.
Yeah. Even in the word Father means, to me, source.
Yes.
So in other words, not a deity as Father.
It's a state. It's
state of being.
It's a state of consciousness, not of being. Well, you could say a being, but it's because consciousness is not physical. It just is. And if you're not satisfied with your outer world, go within the closet in secret and change the consciousness of your being, and the outer world will change according to that. Basically, that's what he's saying here. And we've said that all along. We've talked about in the past with that.
I have a little friend. Well, she was little when I first met her. She was 4.5 years old. Her name's Emily. Her mother was trying to get her to eat more broccoli. She hates broccoli. So she was like, no, I don't want any more broccoli. Mother said, just eat one more piece. I don't want any more broccoli. And then all of a sudden, Emily looks at her mom and she said, Mommy, did you change your mind? And she looked at Emily and she said, no, Emily, I did not change my mind. And she said, well, if you change your mind, God will give you a new one and you can have everything you want. 4.5 years old.
Yeah.
Wow. So she changed, where we started off, the constructs we as humanity have devised.
Yep.
And you're changing that mind, changing that consciousness or within the source that is within. Our Father who art in heaven, state of being. Correct? So it's, a lot of people keep saying it's heaven, it's out there somewhere, which still makes no sense to me. But anyway, that's some of the constructs many people have stayed within. And then that egg is breaking. That egg, that hard-boiled egg, it's hard to move. And add a little sauce to it. It's causing pain. What are we going through right now? Pain, right? And people are now seeing it for what it is, and we're saying, no more. And that obedience word just fades away. Yeah, just see the word in big, bold print out in front of you, and I'm seeing it now. So it's interesting. It's just like faded. It's just like it wasn't even there. like, all right, you're not that anymore. So a lot to think about as we're going through these times and as things are being revealed for what they really are and have been. Again, the programs, things that we've talked about before, but it keeps happening every day that you're seeing something else or hearing about something else. And it depends what media that you're listening to, if you are listening to the media or within your own self. You start seeing the constructs, and you start fading away as the cracked egg. So any more comments from either of you?
Yeah, I'd say don't listen to the media.
There you go.
Yeah. Listen to your own heart, listen to your own inner voice, because it'll always tell you what's right for you, which might not be right for somebody else, but it's always right for you, So we've talked about that before, shifting from the consciousness of the clutter in the mind to the heart, where the center of your soul is, you could say, and ask there where the subconscious mind isn't ruling that conscious mind, because most things that happen during your day and thoughts are coming from the subconscious, because remember, the subconscious can deal with 40 million bits of information a second, whereas the conscious mind can barely deal with 4.
Yeah. Well, with that, we're getting close to our 30 minutes, but and maybe I can bring it up next, our next podcast. But one of my writings is called A Soul's Agreement. I don't know if we've talked about this on other podcasts.
I don't think we have.
We haven't. I would love, because I was rereading this tonight and I went, wow, this is something I think would benefit us all to listen to.
Let's do that. Let's bring that up maybe in our next podcast.
Yeah, let's do that, and because it can, well, you'll see. It's in my third book, and it's writing number 58 for those that have this book. But it really is well said about what we're experiencing and what's coming into view, past lives, all of that sort of thing. So, it's I think it'd be good to share that. All right. Remember now, it's November 30th is our next podcast at 7 p.m. Eastern. That'll be number 56. Until then, the three of us say goodnight and have a great 2 weeks. Good night. Yes. Well, happy Thanksgiving, too, for those that are United States. That's right. Yep, that's happening before our next podcast. Next week, a week from Thursday. It is. Yes. It's a day of gratitude, and every day should be I used to use the word should, but it's helpful to be in gratitude every day, and then some of this other stuff that people are going through starts fading away because it doesn't become part of your reality. So just remember gratitude. Absolutely. All right. Until 2 weeks. Good night, everyone. Enjoy your Thanksgiving and exercise afterwards. There you go. All right. And I wanted to thank you all for staying on the planet this long. And I want you to know that I love you, my darlings. I love you freely. And that is something that no one can ever take away from you. You are a blessing to me. I love you. Thank you. Good night, everyone. Good night. Good night.